Yeah, you know what? The Democrat ideology to me is so far. I mean, really and truly, it's so far out of the mainstream. I mean, if you go, and I've said this for a long time now, but if you go to your average person and you just go down the list of issues by issues, yeah, you're not going to agree 100% with everybody. But my goodness, at this point, the Democrat Party is. I just don't know how they can stand or even claim anything close to the moral high ground. And that's why every time you have a situation where, especially here in Arkansas, as the Democrat Party is getting less and less relevant, anytime you have a situation where a region or a district is possibly up for a change, the few remaining Democrats left are certainly vulnerable to Republican challengers, because I think the people of Arkansas have said that we don't like the Democrat Party anymore. They're not the party they were, and they're just not one that's compatible with Arkansas values today. And so that's why I was glad to see that Democrat Senator Cheatham, is drawing a challenger, a guy by the name of Ben Gilmore, who is on the line with us now. Ben, Republican candidate for State Senate District 26. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Paul. How are you? Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great this morning. I'm glad that you could spend some time with us because, like I said, anytime you got the chance to flip another district from blue to red, I think is a good thing. And to paint contrasts in bold colors. So Ben, why did you decide to get into the race?
Well, for a couple of reasons, and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. Being from that district and, growing up down there and looking at some of the issues, but also, talking to folks down there that'll tell you that, maybe they voted Democrats before, but now the Democrat Party is not what they voted for years ago, and they've gone completely to the extreme. And and looking at some of the issues on the state side of issues we're going to have to be dealing with down the road, and specifically in my district and Senate District 26, economic development is really important. And, looking at lower taxes that help stimulate growth and job growth, and looking at ways to reduce our regulatory burden. I'm just going to be honest. Democrats hadn't been getting that right. They're not going to get that right. So folks, I think, are ready for a change. I've sat down with folks down there who have told me that they voted Democrat for a lot of years. They're going to be voting for me just because, well, for a couple of reasons. They look at what they see on the national scale, and it scares them a little bit. They see folks like Nancy Pelosi and AOC and the Squad and some of the rest of the folks, and they say, you know what, that's not who I am. That's not what I was. I'm going to vote Republican because of it. Mm-hmm. And so, that's indicative, I think, of Arkansas, especially some of these southern regions, these that have been historically Democrat. These folks are looking at what they see nationally, and even what they see in Little Rock from the Democratic Party, and they're saying, look, those aren't our values. Mm-hmm. Those aren't Arkansas values.
Do you think that some of those voters down there, the ones that had been voting Democrat, that were they still also some of the kind of the historic holdovers who would vote for Democrats locally but maybe vote for Republican presidential candidates?
Absolutely. I mean, those counties went heavily for Trump in 2016. Those counties went heavily for Romney in 2012. So I think, yes, you're right. They have voted locally Democrat, but they've always historically been more Republican nationally. But I think they're starting to realize that, look, local elections matter. And some of those counties have elected their first Republican county judge. Some of them elected more conservative county sheriffs. So, yeah, I think you're seeing a shift, and I think that I think this is a very winnable district. I think that people are ready for a change, and they're tired of, I'm running as a Democrat, but, I have your values. Well, maybe, but they see what happens in Little Rock, and they see what happens nationally, and they say, mm-hmm. I don't think those are our values. We want someone who aligns with our values and who agrees with us on the issue of abortion. And I think And I've heard that from so many people. First question they want to know is, where are you on abortion? And are you running as Republican? Oh, you got my vote because I know where you are on abortion.
Mm-hmm.
So some of those big hot button issues like that, in those areas, in the southern region there, in the Bible Belt, that's a big issue to folks, and it's a big issue to me as well. But they've looked historically at who's gotten that right, and Republicans have. And so, I think I just know that that area of looking at historically what the numbers have been, and I think it's just ready to flip.
Yeah, again, we're talking with Ben Gilmore. He is a Republican candidate for State Senate District 26. District 26, can you kind of frame that for us geographically, just so if there's other people listening that don't quite get where District 26 is?
Yeah, so it's basically the whole southeast corner of Arkansas. So it's Ashley, Bradley, Chico, Deshay, Drew, part of Cleveland, part of Lincoln County.
Okay.
So that whole southeast corner, that's the district.
Now, you've worked, Ben, previously, you've worked for Congressman Bruce Westerman. Currently, you're the Deputy Chief of Staff and Communications Director for Lieutenant Governor Tim Griffin. So how is that experience, specifically, working at the Capitol and, kind of knowing, seeing the whole process play out? How has that prepared you for public service or continued public service? Go ahead.
Right. Well, I like to tell folks that I've worked for or continue to work for two of the greatest guys, I think, the conservatives in Arkansas. Bruce Westerman is a strong conservative for us in Washington and doing a great job for us there. And, of course, Lieutenant Governor Griffin is, just a solid conservative, very bold ideas here on state side. But, one of the things I tell people is, I'm already representing that area. Why? Because I've worked for Bruce Westerman. I represented that area to him while he was in D.C. I was the representative for that area. So, and then now with working for Tim, people still call me and they say, hey, can you help us with whatever, constituent service, you name it. And so I tell people, look, I've already been doing the job, and I haven't even been hired to do that job. So, I jokingly say that, but the truth of the matter is, that's just absolutely the way it is. And so, being in the state capitol, seeing how the process works, seeing how the process sometimes doesn't work, and watching, I'm usually in the Senate chamber when Lieutenant Governor is in there and they're in session, and seeing how the Senate operates and how legislation is moved through the chamber, and so it's been a wealth of knowledge and experience for me. It's been a pleasure to serve for the Lieutenant Governor and with Lieutenant Governor, and all of that is going to help me immensely if elected senator, because I think I already have a good idea of what the issues are. I have a great idea or understanding how the process works. So all of that plays into, helping me if I'm elected. But, and I tell folks down there, look, I've been working for bold conservatives. That's who I am. I'm going to still be a bold conservative in Little Rock if elected. And because there's a lot of things we've done over the last, 5 or 6 years that we've done and we've gotten right. But there's a lot of things that we need to continue to do and keep moving the state forward. And we need bold conservatives in the state Senate and in the state House. So that's why I threw my hat in the ring, is because there's a lot that we need to do. There's a region, my region down in southeast Arkansas, that they need somebody to represent their values. And I want to do that.
There is, and I'm really glad that you've thrown your hat in the ring, and I agree with you about the need for bold conservatives. We certainly do need that. You did mention abortion, as being an issue that's certainly important to you. And you also, in your statement to SE Arc today, also mentioned defending the Second Amendment. So that's also something that's important to you.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Well, and I think a lot of people would say historically in Arkansas we've gotten both those issues right, and I think we've been moving the ball forward on both of those issues.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things that you can't say ever. All right, well we're done. We're as far as we can go, and so I think looking at what's happening nationally. I mean, look, Democrats nationally are doing some crazy stuff, Paul, and I don't have to tell that to you or your listeners, but I mean, look at what they've done in New York and what they've been talking about in Virginia on abortion. It's really just disgusting things, and so I don't think Arkansas will ever get to that point. I hope not, but you know what? We need leaders to make sure that we don't get to that point. And so, yeah, I will never apologize for my stance on abortion. I'm 100% pro-life, and also, obviously support the Second Amendment wholeheartedly. So, again, not that here in Arkansas, I think that we've seen a huge push to, push back on those issues, but I think we've got to keep moving forward on those and even many other issues. And as my statement said, economic development, job growth is going to be one of my major focuses if elected. Crossett, my hometown, just lost 550 jobs thereabouts. Just got news last week that they're going to be losing another 25. That's devastating for the region. That's devastating for my home community. And when you have friends, as I did, I have friends that are in their 40s, that have families, and they call you and they're in tears and they say, "Look, this is devastating. We don't know what to do. Man, this is just so tough." And that's it's hard to hear that. And when you get those phone calls, you start thinking, what can I do? And so, I think there's a lot of things we can do on the state side. I think we can get our state to a more business-friendly climate, and I think we do that by addressing, taxes, overall tax burden, and I think we do that by addressing regulatory issues as well.
Yeah.
So.
Ben Gilmore, I appreciate you coming on. I look forward to talking to you. Obviously, we're kind of a long ways out from the election, but I appreciate you throwing your hat in the ring, sir. I wish you the best of luck.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on, Paul. And I'll just say this. I don't know if you saw the news this morning, but David Ray just put out an announcement. David Ray works with me in the Lieutenant Governor's office. He just put out an announcement this morning, and he's running for State House District 40, which is North Pulaski County, part of Faulkner and some other county, but as well. But yeah, the Maumelle, Mayflower area. He's announcing today that he's running. So another bold conservative
no doubt about that.
Conservatives need support.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I'm glad that that's a public announcement now. But yeah, that's also fantastic. We'll get David on the program as well to talk about it. Ben, I appreciate it, sir. Thanks for breaking that news, sir.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you so much, Paul. Appreciate
Okay.
it.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Yeah. Well, you're going to get two people from the Lieutenant Governor's office throwing their hat into the state political arena, if you will. One in the Senate, one in the House.